Hello, friends. I am so excited to be doing this call today. Randy is not able to be with us today. So she asked me if I still wanted to do it. And I was like, absolutely. I love talking about all things marketing and helping agents figure stuff out because I have been there. So I wanted to jump right into it. And today we're going to be talking all about marketing tasks I no longer do manually and exactly how I automate them. And yes, I have slides because I'm a slide girl and I wanted to actually show you everything that I have going on. That brings me in over 100 leads a week. So let's dive in to all of the things. All right. So, first of all, if you don't know who I am because you're used to seeing me with Randy or Kristen, my name is Tara Krach, and I am so grateful that I get to collaborate with both of these ladies inside of Moms in Real Estate each month. I go live with Randy. We talk about all things marketing. So if you ever have any ideas or something you want to talk about, especially when it comes to the online world, please let me know so that we can make sure to get it on the calendar. But what you really need to know is that I specialize in online marketing and lead generation. That is absolutely my jam. I am a licensed agent in Charleston, South Carolina, and I really focus on business strategy. And my best ideas happen somewhere between a plate of tacos and a Diet Coke refill. Here are some of the struggles that I had, and I really want to know if this sounds like some of you. And if you're hopping on here and you're like, wait a minute, what the heck is she doing here? Let's chat a little bit about my journey because I think this is probably going to resonate with some of you. The first thing is, do any of you suffer with that shiny object syndrome? You're always trying the next thing because as real estate agents, we are getting ideas thrown at us left and right. And it's always the most, the best, the grandest thing. So we never really have time to put processes in place when it comes to our marketing. The next thing is we're always riding the real estate roller coaster, which is our feast or famine mode, right? So we essentially get our commission check, then we turn around and spend that commission check, and we're struggling to find clients. We get a client, we're working with the client, but we stop our lead generation. So as soon as we get that client, our pipeline is drying up automatically. Or maybe you are just a really disorganized mess right now and you have follow-up reminders on post-it notes somewhere on your desk. Or you have leads that are going cold because you forgot to check in on them. Or worse, and I see this all the time in both my group as well as this group, where you forgot to check in on someone, they went with somebody else, and you're like, do I even have a right to be mad about this? Like, this was my best friend, or this was my neighbor, or this was the person that I was talking to, and I just found out they sold their house and didn't even call me. And sadly, that's on us. So I had all of these situations happening. And at some point I decided I needed to make a rule. And that rule that I set for myself was this: if I'm doing the same thing more than 3 times, I have to I have to find a way to either automate it or delegate it. And that decision changed everything. So today I'm going to walk you through the specific marketing tasks I completely removed from my to-do list and what is running them for me instead. Before we dive in, I want to talk a little bit about a case study because for the past 6 years, I have been consistently bringing in over 100 leads a week in most cases. And I'll show you a little bit later, it is way more than 100 leads a week. And when I first posted about this a few years ago, I was flooded with comments. People were like, there's absolutely no way. That's not possible. You are not consistently getting 100 leads a week. So I set out to show proof that getting 100 leads a week wasn't just possible, it could actually be really easy. So I had a minor surgery one week and I was unable to actively generate leads. So I had to rely on passive lead generating, meaning systems that I set in place to build momentum and bring in leads on autopilot. I only showed up each day in my stories with the number of leads I received that day. So I basically just took a little picture of myself and then I popped a little screenshot of the leads I received that day. So something to note is that this case study does not include any paid ads. I only run on organic traffic. So before we dive into the results of this case study, I want to get into what exactly is a lead. Hi, Allie. So what is a lead? A lead is a person that is identified that you have the answer to something they want, that they have opted in to be contacted by you. They are now a part of your database. So this isn't just a follower or a subscriber. And it's someone you will be nurturing and following up with. Here's what a lead is not. A lead is not a follower, a subscriber, or a fan, and they are not an actual client just yet. We have to do a little bit of work to get them there. So here was the plan that I set in motion. Since I was unable to actively lead generate, I had to rely on systems and evergreen content that was already in place. During the week of the case study, there was no new content that was created. I was actually unable to create any content aside from like my picture with the screenshot that I told you in my stories. And as I said, I did do that story post each day, sharing those case study results at the end of the day. These leads came from an omnipresent strategy. The primary platforms that I use are Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Yes, Pinterest. It is an underutilized platform for agents, and we can chat about that if that's something you guys are interested in at some point in time as well. But here is the example process that I used to bring in those leads. So you can see here, I had a funnel created. I had all of the steps already in place. All I had to do was drive people to that beginning piece, which is that traffic source. Here are the results of that case study. That particular week, I brought in 109 leads. Now, remember, this is from me doing absolutely nothing. Sunday, obviously, lower days, weekends are lower days. And you can see here throughout the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, each day, bringing in over 10, sometimes over 20 leads a day. But I wanted to show you that obviously 1 week may be easy, but can you do this consistently? And absolutely you can. So 1 week I brought in 184 leads. Another I brought in 189 leads. Another week I brought in over 400 women into my world. So it is definitely a matter of building momentum and consistency. And there's absolutely no way that I could manually do all of this, right? Like that seems like a lot of work when you're thinking of not only the initial touch point, but then you're trying to do your follow-up and set appointments. All of these things take time and you're still running a business, right? So that's where I learned I needed to start automating some things. So here's an important reframe I want you to make. What I want you to understand before we get into the actual tasks that I automated is that without systems, your business runs on memory, motivation, and manual effort. And those three things are just not reliable. I know a lot of us, first of all, we're busy, so things fall through the cracks. Our memory sometimes, craps out on us. Motivation, there are some weeks when I just do not, all I want to do is couch rot, right? I just want to hang out. I want to watch some trashy reality TV. I want to do bare minimum effort. Now, that being said, there are some weeks where I'm in major hustle mode, right? That's perfectly normal. And then that manual effort, we only have so many hours a day to dedicate to our business. So we really need to have some options that allow us to do more while giving less effort. So that's where I have two options for your lead gen and marketing. The first one is active, the second is passive, and we're going to talk about what that means. The first thing is active lead generating. So, active leads are probably what most of you think of when you're thinking of lead gen, right? Active leads are leads that are coming in when you are actively doing a specific activity. So, this is similar to trading time for money, but in this case, you're trading your time for leads. However, when the activity you're doing stops, the leads stop coming in. Example, door knocking, right? You're spending your time knocking on doors, right? But if you're not knocking on doors, you're not reaching people. This creates that real estate roller coaster that I talked about at the beginning. It's a great month and then a slow month. Then you have the panic prospecting, you're burnt out, and then you repeat that cycle over and over again. And then we wonder why we actually don't love our jobs. Unfortunately, most forms of active lead generating is not considered scalable or sustainable. They may be quick ways for you to bring in business, but they are not necessarily scalable or sustainable ways that you can continue to grow. At some point, you're going to have to do something. If you're knocking on doors, how many doors can you knock on in a day? Once you're out of time, you're out of time, right? Passive lead gen is what helps break this cycle. And this is what I love. But first, let's talk about some active examples. We got the cold calling, obviously, door knocking, open houses, networking events, office floor duty, and then some social media is extremely active. And that is not to say that these are bad. They are just not as scalable. It is much easier for you to do passive lead generating and marketing. So, passive leads are leads that are automatically generated by a system that you set up within your business. So, we talked about the funnel that I had set up in that case study. That was a system I set up within my business. And when you create a passive lead gen system, you're able to save more time in your day and generate leads at a much larger scale. With the right passive lead system, you can generate leads, nurture leads, and convert leads easier than ever. So, some passive examples are going to be content creation, especially now that Instagram and TikTok are being found by Google, like they come up in the search results. So, there is a little bit of SEO there, but then things like blogs, YouTube, etc., funnels, SEO, obviously, referrals, Facebook groups, and then some forms of paid advertising can also be passive. So now let's dive into the tasks that I started to automate, right? We're going to start with task number one. Number one is going to be your lead capture. When you start capturing leads at scale, it is a lot harder to manually do this. So that is when you want to have your lead capture system in place. So lead capture system is the entry point into your business. The way people raise your hand and say, "Hey, I'm interested." In 2026, lead capture has become basically non-negotiable because buyers and sellers expect instant access, instant answers, and instant pathways to the next step. When you look at buyer trends, not even in the real estate world, but even outside of that, everything is immediate gratification, right? We no longer like to wait for things. There are times when maybe it takes like 10 minutes for an email to get sent to someone, and I get people in my DMs 3 minutes later. They're like, "I didn't get it yet." It's like, hold on, let's let my email get to your inbox, right? So just note that, excuse me. So just note that, yes, you definitely want to have your lead capture system in place. So what does that look like? This is something you want to set up once and have it run for you. So this is going to be your lead magnets, your guides, checklists, relocation kits, templates, workshops, webinars, etc. Your funnels and landing pages, opt-in pages, free resource funnels, mini trainings, etc. Your website forms, contact, book a call, get your home value, moving to X, Y, and Z. All of these are going to be capture forms that you're going to want to have somewhere on your website. And then, of course, I don't want to say newest, but one of the most trendy forms is going to be your DM keywords. So the Instagram DM automation, comment move, message me by, and I'll send you X, Y, and Z. And you have this running on autopilot using some sort of automated system. An example could be a virtual home buyers masterclass workshop. You can set up a virtual home buyers workshop one time and it runs on autopilot for you, bringing in leads daily. You can set this up directly inside of the CRM that I have, which is the suite, or you can have, you can set this up using some other tools if you're using something else. But we actually give you all of the templates and tools for the home buyers workshop. But this is a really great, easy way for you to consistently capture buyers on their time. Because here's the thing, if you are at church on a Sunday or you are at a school function with your kids on a Wednesday evening and there is a home buyer that is ready to go, but they need information, the last thing you want to do is leave either of those scenarios, but you also don't want your buyer to fall through the cracks. You don't want this buyer lead to go somewhere else. And you typically have about 3 minutes to capture a lead when they contact you before they move on to another agent. So with that being said, you want to have something immediate for them. So imagine having a virtual home buyers workshop or a virtual home buyers masterclass that is a video that's pre-recorded. You've got all of the information. You're able to connect with them, even though it's video, face-wise. They're going to immediately start building a connection with you, and you'll be able to capture that lead and start nurturing them right away. Another way is going to be to automate your Instagram lead capture. So you can set up a workflow that triggers as someone is interested in something you post. So here is just within the past month, leads that I was able to bring in using this strategy. So this is between just 3 of my posts, not even all of my posts, but over 1,900 leads that were automatically captured through Instagram. And it's going directly to my database and immediately following up. And I have a system all set up where all 1,900 of these leads are getting nurtured. Task number 2 then is going to be your lead nurture. So lead nurture is the system that warms up leads long before they're ready to buy or sell. So this is where trust is built, right? This is where authority is established. This is where your consistency is going to compound. And a strong nurture system makes sure you're always the agent that they think of first. So you want to make sure that you are never forgetting a lead follow-up again. And that's where these pieces come into place. And these are some things that you may want to automate. Number 1, obviously your email sequences, the buyer journey, seller education, a relocation series, lead magnet follow-up, a welcome email, etc. Your weekly or bi-weekly newsletter, so market insights, personal updates, value pack tips, local lifestyle. Then your drip campaigns for long-term leads. This is 3, 6, or 12-month nurturing for not right now buyers and sellers, because we don't want to forget about these people. And a lot of times what happens is we're so hyper-focused on our ready right now leads that we forget that in 6 months, those leads we're currently working with aren't going to be there. We need a whole new pool that's ready. So this is a way to keep them warm and to establish a relationship with them while you are currently working with other clients. And then, of course, scheduled text check-ins. So short thinking of you or checking in texts that prompt responses from your leads. Task number 3 that I automated is my lead conversion. So we have our lead capture, we have our lead nurture, but now we need to actually convert those leads, because 100 leads a week sounds great. But if you're not converting any of those leads, that is not helpful at all, right? All you have is a database full of non-buyers or non-clients. So conversion isn't about getting someone to say yes. It's about creating a clear, confident path that moves a lead from curious to committed. Your conversion and client experience system is the structure that guides your leads into clients and your clients into those raving fans that give you those referrals. This is where your business becomes predictable. So, getting them to say yes. Here's a few things that you can automate as far as your tasks go. Number one, your buyer consultation framework, a repeatable process that educates, sets expectations, and positions you as the expert. The seller process presentation walks sellers through pricing, prep, marketing plan, and timelines so they feel confident choosing you. And then automated appointments, workflow, confirmations, reminders, pre-consult questions, value drops that have to do with whatever appointment they are making, are all things that you can automate and ways that you can continue to help push them to that conversion. So now let's talk about a conversion deep dive. So your conversion activity is the set of actions, big or small, that move someone from interested to ready to work with you. So unlike old school sales tactics, modern conversion is value driven, automated where possible, rooted in education and clarity, focused on guiding, not pushing, and your conversion activity is the final step that turns your marketing into actual money, actual income. So, some things that you may want to have in place for this is going to be your rapid follow up system, your automated nurture sequences, the clear call to actions, your lead magnet to your funnel to your appointment workflow, your buyer and seller consultation frameworks, and your post inquiry touch points. And task number 4 that you may want to automate is going to be your referral system. So this is going to be the quiet powerhouse of a sustainable real estate business, right? We know that referrals are really, really important in our industry. And it's not just about staying in touch, it's about staying relevant, valuable, and memorable long after the transaction ends. We do not close and ghost our clients. So, some things that you can have on autopilot or have automated for you is going to be your review requests. So, imagine they close, they immediately get a congratulations, you closed, and then you are able to fire off triggers at exactly the right moment that asks for those reviews so you don't forget and you can follow up if they don't do it. Then you have your post close nurture sequence. So 1 week, 1 month, and quarterly messages that provide value and support to your client. And then annual home value reviews or mini CMAs, a yearly tradition that positions you as their lifelong advisor. And then past client rituals. So birthday messages, home anniversaries, celebrations, small seasonal pop-bys, all of these can be set up and automated. So here's the takeaway that I want you to have. I know that seems like a lot of stuff, right? You're like, okay, holy cow, I need to automate a lot of different things in my business. But you don't have to do every single activity manually. If you want 24/7 leads, you have to implement passive and evergreen systems, and the results is what I like to call the compounding effect. The right systems don't just save you time, they multiply your impact. And when you create repeatable processes and scalable marketing strategy, your business becomes easier. You're growing with a lot less effort. So it starts as small intentional shifts turn into long-term momentum that builds while you sleep, rest, and finally take a real vacation. So as I mentioned before, I started about 6 years ago bringing in 100 leads a week fairly consistently. And as I have gone on, I now typically bring in a little more than that. And 1 week I brought in over 400 leads. So that compounding effect, that momentum kind of builds upon itself as you are automating more and more things. So, what happens with the compounding effects? Obviously, more leads. On average, I was able to bring in over 100 leads a week on autopilot and not worry about losing them. I was able to bring in more income, more leads, obviously, equals more closings. And with an average of 5 closings a month, I started reaching my income goals. Freedom, I finally stopped running my business like a 24/7 emergency room and started creating space to think, breathe, and actually enjoy my life. And this is probably one of the biggest shifts and changes that I saw in my business and in my life was being able to step away and know that I had things going on in the background and that my pipeline was consistently moving without me having to manually push it all through. And then finally, the scalable growth. This is the beginning part to scaling. I see this all the time of like, I don't know what to do. I'm out of time. Do I need to bring on another agent? Do I need to do a hire? What have you automated? Let's look there first. With time on my calendar, I was able to open up the door to other opportunities, mentorship, passive income, and building a business beyond transactions and helping other agents do the same, which is something I'm super passionate about. So, in case you don't already know, systems absolutely matter in your business. Like, we have to have systems. And a lot of us are just flying by the seat of our pants. Is that the saying? I think that's the saying. We are just winging it over here, right? Like, we wake up in the morning and we have a very reactive business. We immediately look at our inbox. We let our inbox tell us what we need to be doing. We are running around like putting out fires left and right. And then we wonder why we are absolutely exhausted at the end of the day. Most agents don't have a lead problem, or they have a lead problem, but their lead problem is related to having a systems problem. Without systems, your business is relying on memory, motivation, mood, manual effort, and a whole lot of, I'll get to it later. I'll do that tomorrow. Oh, I ran out of time. And that creates that real estate roller coaster that I keep mentioning. The good month, the random dry spell, the panic prospecting, followed by that exhaustion and burnout. And then that cycle just starts over and over and over again. And we wonder why we just are so miserable in our businesses. Systems are going to give you that structure, predictability, time freedom, confidence, consistency, and the scalability that you need. And your goal isn't to do all of these things at one time. It's to build a system that keeps working even when you're not. So if you set a goal for yourself to give yourself 90 days of focused effort, specifically on creating um, tasks or automating tasks, so you no longer have to do them manually, you're not only going to start generating consistent leads, you'll create that consistent momentum that I talked about that's going to compound month after month. And the biggest thing is this is kind of your cheat code to buying back your time. So if all this resonated with you and you're like, okay, but where do I start? So I do have a trend report here that you can check out. And in this trend report, I give you a lot of different trends that are happening in 2026, things that you need to know as a real estate agent. But also, I break down very specific action tasks and things that you can do in your business to help you automate some of these things. And then the second thing that I wanted to do is if you have not already heard of the suite, I wanted to go ahead and introduce that to you. And I will go in and I will link to the suite so you can check out the demo. But everything I walked you through, it can live inside of this one platform. So not 5 tools. You don't have to patchwork all of the apps together that kind of talk to each other. You can have everything in one place. So this is where my CRM, my automations, my email, my pipelines, my forms, my scheduling, all of it is in one place and it all works together. So that is the Real Estate Edit Suite, which is my CRM specifically created for women in real estate. And if you are done duct taping your business together and you actually want to run it smoothly, run it like a CEO, then be sure to check that out. So I'm going to link to the suite demo below, so you can check that out if that's something you are interested in. So that is all that I have for you today. I did want to kind of just talk about what makes the suite different from other CRMs. Obviously, it is female founded. It's designed for the way that you work. It is a real estate specific tools and templates. So inside of there, you already have your lead pipelines, your listing workflows, your real estate specific task lists. It's all preloaded with those assets for agents. And then it has the built-in content workflows and systems. And obviously, if you can drag and drop, you can use the suite. And yes, we walk you through everything and you are fully supported inside of there. So if you have any questions about the suite, please let me know. As I said, I will link to that. But also, if you are interested in automating any of your tasks and you're not sure where to start and you just want to chat through that with me, I would love to talk to you about that too. So just let me know. But other than that, that's all I have for you guys today. If you want to connect with me, we can connect on Instagram at tara.krach and we can chat through your business. But all right, friends, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.